again. We're in Athens, Georgia, where the Bulldogs host the Kentucky Wildcats, who are scratching and clawing to keep their postseason dreams alive. It is bubble alert time for Big Blue Nation. Our Joe Lunardi has the Cats as one of the final 4 teams in the field of 68 right now, but a loss, any loss, and they are out, according to Joey Brackets. We welcome you inside Stegman Coliseum, Saturday afternoon basketball in the SEC alongside Jimmy Dykes. I'm Rich Hollenberg. So according to Big Blue Nation, Jimmy, it is DEFCON 5 time now for Kentucky. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, we'll see if Kentucky can pick themselves up off the mat one more time, because Arkansas put it on them pretty good Tuesday night in Rupp Arena. The problem Kentucky has today, a couple things. Georgia's healthy, Kentucky is not. Kentucky without Severe Wheeler at the point guard. C.J. Frederick is out with a rib injury. We don't know for sure how long. So now what has to happen? Oscar Tshiebwe, Rich, he's got to get back to being Oscar Tshiebwe. He was dynamic the first time these two teams played each other. Went for a monster game, did Tshiebwe. He's going to have a similar performance today on the road. Georgia single covered Tshiebwe all night long, and Tshiebwe just went off. Not only scoring, but dominating on the backboards. He put up historic numbers. I expect Georgia to throw different looks at him this afternoon. That single coverage, it ain't gonna work. Oscar Tshiebwe was driving it, and look at that, 37 and 24. I'm not sure he can get that number today, but he's gotta get close to it. Ever since that game, Oscar Tshiebwe has been in a little bit of a tailspin, has not played well, in particular the last two. He has to be big today for Kentucky on the road.
Yes, single digits for Tshiebwe in the last 2 games for only the 2nd time in his career as a Kentucky Wildcat. On the other side of the ledger, as you touched on, Jimmy, Georgia's getting healthier this time of the season. Case and Wallace stepping up for Kentucky, but Terry Roberts will be back coming off the bench, the best scorer for the Dogs.
That's a big, big thing for Georgia, because Roberts can go get his own. He caused Kentucky a lot of problems at Rupp Arena last month.
We are underway with Kentucky in their road blue controlling the opening tip. Number 12 in blue, Antonio Reeves, making his 6th start this season. Here's Livingston. Off the mark. And Tshiebwe gets his first touch. And he's off the mark. Let's take a look at our Kay Jewelers starting lineup. And for the Georgia Bulldogs, 11 different starting lineups with 8 different players. No player on this roster has started all 24 of their games. But like we said, their top scorer is coming up. And Thiero Oquendo says, you can watch that one, Terry Roberts.
Now, what a start to burn that pressure off by Kentucky with a hard back cut.
Here's a 3 off the mark. M.A. Moncrief grabs it for the Dogs.
No Severe Wheeler. Case and Wallace probably gonna have to play 35, 36 minutes today. He can't turn the ball over like he did against Arkansas with 5 turnovers. Talking about 22 in blue, a lot on him as a freshman point guard. Pass goes, don't jump the ball, bam, get back cut, does Livingston, no rim protection, and you get one of the better athletes in this league going downhill early.
He's one of the best dunkers in college basketball.
Absolutely.
He has 3 SportsCenter top 10 dunks already to his credit.
He is the real deal, with or without the ball, attacking that glass.
6'4" junior out of Florida, Thiero Oquendo, with the lone bucket so far, minute and a half gone by.
Got him again.
Here he is again. Oquendo 4, Kentucky nothing.
And they went right at Antonio Reeves on a backdoor cut. Reeves has been negligent in defending that play the last 3 games.
And there's your starting lineup for the Cats, brought to you by Kay Jewelers. Again, no Severe Wheeler, the Georgia transfer, and no C.J. Frederick. So basically a new starting backcourt for John Calipari and the Cats.
It is, Rich, and what you've also done with those 2 guys not available for Kentucky, those are your best post feeders to Oscar Tshiebwe. You expect Georgia already in this game. They put bodies around Tshiebwe. They didn't put bodies around him the first time. Making 34 in blue play through a lot of traffic in this game.
Yeah, Jimmy, we were at practice, and the one thing I remember hearing Mike White, the head coach of Georgia, say to all his troops, everybody's got to hit somebody when the ball goes up, and if you don't have anybody to hit Oscar.
Hit Oscar, yeah. Easier said than done. You can hit him, but he'll hit back. And it's a lot of guard productivity sitting on the bench for Big Blue Nation right now.
Tshiebwe, a 69% free throw shooter, knocks both of those down. It's a 4-2 Georgia lead. 11 and white Justin Hill running the show for the Dogs.
I like the aggressive trap, though, by Kentucky early as they came across the timeline. A little bit of a new defensive wrinkle by Cal to start the game. Another backdoor cut.
Trying for points in the paint. They turn that one over. Loose ball controlled by the Dogs. Oquendo off the mark. Moncrief can't grab the offensive rebound. Here come the Cats. Tshiebwe gets a touch. Off the window, no.
Hill bothered him just enough to throw Tshiebwe off of his focus on the backside of the rim.
Spin move, Moncrief off the rim. And a fresh 20 seconds for Georgia.
Every team in this league, Rich, makes Oscar Tshiebwe guard ball screens. There's one of the first one. Kentucky switches it, then switches back.
There's Braylon Bridges coming off a monster night against Ole Miss, albeit in a loss. Wallace kicks it back out with 20 on the clock. Here's Reeves, the straight line drive. Almost an offensive rebound, but no good for Oscar Tshiebwe, and Georgia comes back the other way.
Georgia has made huge progress in their defense from last year to this year under Mike White. Still not great, but about 200 points better efficiency-wise than they were a year ago. Mike White continues to just, lay the foundation bricks of how he wants his team to play, and demanding on the defensive end like he was at Florida. He has brought this with him to Athens as well.
Yeah, had an Elite Eight appearance with the Florida Gators now in his first season in Athens, and he said yesterday after practice he thinks that his team played maybe their best half of basketball all season in that first half against Kentucky at Rupp Arena.
Yeah, they did. It was a lot of it was Terry Roberts, who's available after sitting out 2 games with a concussion, expected to be back today. Caused all kinds of problems. When you're playing Georgia, if you can't stay in front of Hill, Roberts, or Oquendo as Roberts checks in, you're going to have a hard afternoon.
Hill goes 2 for 2, a 78% free throw shooter, and now we're going to see 0 and White, the top scorer this season for the Dogs, and he hears it from the Georgia faithful inside Segment Coliseum. Back on the floor after missing his last 2 in concussion protocol. Had 21 the last time these teams met. Livingston. And Georgia defense again.
Good job by Holt to crack down and get involved on the glass.
A lot of one and dones for this Kentucky offense, but when you talk about Terry Roberts, Jimmy, you talk about multiple 20-point efforts in terms of production, averaging 16 and 4 assists in SEC play.
Yeah, Rich, he's a dynamic scorer, 0 and White. And he can make a 3, but he's awful electric off the bounce, and Kentucky could not stay in front of this kid. You see his numbers right now, but he's also Georgia's best on-ball defender. He's a complete player on both ends. Transfer that has transferred up a level. His game has transferred with him. Hard to guard Terry Roberts.
Well, we've seen a lot of play in the painted area, bodies on bodies, so should be no surprise to anybody. There was some blood on the floor, and that's what stopped play with 16:35 to go. The officials are checking to see if a Georgia player took a shot to the face. It certainly looks like it did from that picture.
Yeah, it looks like Jason Holt, when he came down with that basketball, just clipped Frank Anselm. And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Frank immediately grabs that nose. The blood starts coming out. But I like how Georgia early is gang rebounding that basketball on their defensive glass. Back to Terry Roberts. Quite a story. I mean, he's known as Mr. 40, number 0 right there, from New York City. And he grew up in those playgrounds playing at Dickman Park in New York City, where Kevin Durant played. Kyrie Irving played a lot of ball on that blacktop as well. Gersh Park in Brooklyn, Lincoln Park in Queens. He's known for a dynamic guard coming out of that New York City area. Friendly fire, right?
Yeah, friendly fire. M.A. Moncrief will be at the line. Just a 56% free throw shooter this season, but looked good on that one.
He's got a little bit of a jerk, though, doesn't he? Watch this shot. Watch the right shot arm right here. It's not the smoothest I've seen this year. Oh,
yeah.
He gets it up slow and then bam.
Well, hitch in the giddy up.
Yeah, it worked.
An early 8-2 lead. If you remember 3 weeks ago, Georgia led by as many as 11 against the Cats in Lexington. That ended up being Kentucky's largest comeback win of this season.
And Tshiebwe is working his tail off on that low block right now, trying to fight for that low post position. And that Georgia defense right now, they're guarding him not only with his primary defender, but a second defender is already a half man over. Much different than what they did in Rupp Arena.
Now we're seeing number 3. That's a Thiero. Thiero getting some run today when he normally wouldn't, and he gives it up, and Antonio Reeves knocks down the 3.
Well, Georgia goes zone, and Antonio Reeves says thank you very much. Just finds that slot between the guard and the backside forward. Seems a very clear rim. Well done.
Reeves averaging just a tick under 18 a game in road games in conference play. 10 on the shot clock for Georgia. That one blocked by Livingston. Here comes Reeves up the left side. Open look, and that's way off the mark. Tshiebwe can't corral it. We're going the other way. We'll take our first time out with 15:33 to go, and when we return, since it's an early tip, we'll get some morning thoughts from Jimmy Dykes.
This could be confusing, by the way.
Tip, Jimmy's morning thoughts are actually Jimmy's morning text. What was on your mind, partner?
Well, sent this to our producer, Scott Matthews, this morning. First of all, what time is Georgia's shoot around? Got to make sure we get that one straight. I do think Nick Smith is going to play today for Arkansas. Interesting to see how that goes and how he fits in, because Arkansas is playing really well. Remember, I told you so. When's the last time Clemson and Pitt were tied for first place in the ACC in the month of February? I don't know if it's ever happened, but man, those teams are playing really well, along with Virginia, top of that league. And Jimmy's Jet at some point today in this broadcast will be the coolest thing on our air all day. It has been upgraded, and I'm glad you're here to see it with me for the first time.
Thank you. Even without the apostrophe.
Absolutely.
We've got to, no apologies when you're texting at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Here at Stegman Coliseum, John Calipari and the Cats are down 3 with 15:33 to go in the first half. Why is this game important? Joe Lunardi says that the Cats are off the bubble and out of the NCAA tournament with a loss.
That's harsh, Joe. Harsh.
Do you agree with that?
I have to see how the rest of the day plays out. I mean, Kentucky's on the road. Wow, that's an illegal screen, right? Moving screen up top.
Here's Roberts. Hammer pass. And Oquendo can't pay it off. Jacob Thompson, first shot for Toppin off the mark, and the rebound to 7th-year D1 player Jalen Ingram.
$15 in white. As you said, it's his 7th year in college basketball. So when he was a freshman, there were guys playing with him now that were 11 years old in the 6th grade. That's crazy.
Crazy. And Ingram right on cue knocks down the 3-ball.
Yep, I see your 6th grader and raise you one. Good job by Ingram, because neither team relies heavily on that 3-ball. And Georgia comes in making about 7 a game, only 31%.
Ingram now 7 away from 1,500 career points.
Man, you play 7 years, that'll be around 2,000, 3,000.
7 on the shot clock, Toppin. And 3 seconds left, it'll stay Kentucky basketball. Coming up next on ESPN, another great one in the SEC. Brandon Miller and number 3 Alabama taking on Auburn. Then number 8 Virginia hosts Kyle Filipowski and Duke. I know you're very high, as most people are, on freshman Brandon Miller for the time.
He's an absolute stud, and that jungle is going to be absolutely on fire after our game.
Wow, that was a 3-on-3 crime, and it's a shot clock violation. Great defense in recovery by Cario Oquendo.
Now, Kentucky has driven the ball some in this game, but those white jerseys are attacking the bounce of Kentucky really well. Oquendo is such a so much pop at the rim on both ends as a finisher or a shot blocker. Where's Kentucky's offense going to come from today if Tshiebwe can't get going?
Where's Kentucky's offense in general? They're now 1 for 9 from the field. Ingram tried a second. Not this time.
Got to try to score off your run game right now if Kentucky push that thing up. Georgia doing a good job of building a wall, stopping the ball.
12 in blue, Antonio Reeves. He has the lone field goal so far for the Cats. There he is with the ball and 13 on the clock. The float game off the mark. Offensive rebound, Toppin, and it's Georgia basketball again. Look at the blow by. Roberts blocked by Tshiebwe.
And you got numbers for Kentucky. Push.
Thiero along the baseline. Now it's out to Wallace. Again off the mark. And again, one and done for Kentucky.
Kentucky is struggling. Can't score 5 on 4 on that possession.
Georgia's offense, not much to write home about, Jimmy. What do they want to do offensively?
Georgia or Kentucky?
Georgia.
Just what they did right there.
Yeah.
They want to establish Bridges, who's coming off a terrific game in the last ball game against Ole Miss. But at the end of the day, Rich, Georgia is a hard driving downhill, get to the free throw line 24, 25 times a game team.
Bridges' first 2, coming off a 26-point, 11-rebound effort in the loss to Ole Miss. Wallace forced it up at close range, but everything contested for the Cats.
Look what Kentucky's doing, though, with their ball screen defense with Tshiebwe. They're more trapping the ball, blitzing the ball, as opposed to that drop coverage, which Tshiebwe has struggled with. I like the change defensively for Kentucky in this game in that area.
Largest lead of the game for Georgia, 13-5, under 12 minutes to go in the first half.
Floppy for Reeves, can't let him squeeze one off.
Here's Reeves. He's got 1 3, couldn't get his second. And Roberts tried the step through. Rebound to Thiero.
Rich, the 3 ball for Reeves today, it has to drop. Kentucky doesn't have enough offense. There it is.
And there's the second triple from Antonio Reeves.
Because prior to today's game, he had only made 1 3 in his last 49 minutes played. No Frederick, no Wheeler getting easy baskets in transition. 12 in blue's got to knock multiple 3s down in this game.
Ingram, they let him shoot it. He's off the mark that time. Tshiebwe, left hand, good. And Big Blue Nation says, more of that, please.
Yeah, just a hard rim run with force from Tshiebwe. Watch Antonio Reeves, a good feel for Toppin to know where my shooter is, trailing right behind me. Just a reverse pivot into the easy shot for 12 in blue. And then Oscar Tshiebwe, man, run that rim hard, make Georgia pay for their transition defense. Cats trying to scratch their way back in.
Some ladies that are going to be playing on Sunday that are absolute superstars. You see Reese on the left, you see Boston on the right. The final 2 remaining unbeaten teams in college basketball.
Yeah, that's a monster matchup between Angel Reese and Leah Boston. You know, Boston's only averaging 13 and 10 because she only plays half the game because they blow people out. Angel Reese making it her own case for National Player of the Year. I watched Angel Reese block his shot this year with 1 shoe on and 1 shoe off while she was holding the shoe. She blocked his shot against Arkansas, and you don't see that very often. And she's a dynamic personality along with Kim Mulkey. That's much watch ball tomorrow prior to the Super Bowl.
It gives a whole new meaning to shoe game.
It does, yes.
Tshiebwe off the mark, can't complete the 3-point play.
What's Georgia doing? They are limiting Kentucky to 1 shot.
Right.
Kentucky only 1 offensive rebound. They now have missed 10 shots in this game. They've only gotten 1 of them back.
Cats are stone cold, 3 for 16 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. John Calipari, happy birthday, belated to Coach Cal.
Turned 64 yesterday. Right? Yeah. Still has so much energy and fight and desire in that heart for this Kentucky program. He knows what he's been hired to do, and no one's working harder. He's got the best recruiting class coming in next year maybe he's ever had, and he's had some dynamic recruiting classes.
Yeah, that's saying something. A block by Jabri Abdur-Rahim. out of bounds, and a foul is going to be called.
Georgia absolutely got punked at the rim in Rupp Arena. And you know they watched that film prior to this ball game because they are really collapsing with authority and strength right now when Kentucky gets that ball around the restricted arc. Zone look for Georgia, better find Wallace and Reeves.
There's Damian Collins, youngster getting some burn early on. And another three, Antonio Reeves heating up.
He's the kind of guy, Rich, he can back up and keep backing up now when he's on. He can release that 25, 26-foot shot with ease.
He now has 56 triples this season, including the 3 he has today. Abdur-Rahim from the corner. First man on the floor this morning inside Stegman Coliseum, working on that shot.
What I like about him, he's 6'8", so he can make and take some guarded threes just like he did in the corner. How do you
Reeves
lose this
left
guy?
alone, and he cans it again.
Rich,
that's a 2 for Reeves.
How do you lose him if you're Georgia? I mean, that's the one guy that's seeing a rim about twice the size that it really is. Spotting up and knocking him down, running off a pin down. Mike White says he's had enough. Making just his 6th start of the year, Antonio Reeves. But they need his offense today, does Kentucky. He just backs up and shoots one deeper. And Antonio Reeves, 12 in blue, now just comes off of a simple pin down over here. And Georgia gets tagged by the screen. No one steps out. And Mike White's forced to call a timeout. Kentucky has to have Reeves not only get off to a hot start, he's got to stay hot. Kentucky needs his offense today in a massive way.
Yeah, look at the numbers for Antonio Reeves. He's 4 for 7. The rest of the Cats, Jimmy, 1 for 12.
Not good. I still really like Tshiebwe blitzing that ball screen. He's not dropping back anymore and letting guys go downhill. Get out there and get after it.
And a nice take and a soft touch off the window. Justin Hill's first field goal of the game. He has 4.
How good has he been the last 2 games with Terry Roberts on the bench? He has found his groove. Got downhill against really pretty good defense by Kentucky.
Playing about 30 minutes a game the last 2. He was 10 for 24 in those 2 games coming in. Tshiebwe off to the left. And a foul is going to be called on Damian Collins.
Watch Justin Hill drive this ball, Rich. Thiero, 6'6" guard. Pretty good job of forcing Hill into a tough one, but you know, small guards all their life, they've had a knack of getting shots off against longer, taller defenders, and Hill has an ability with that long reach out. Levin and White, such a spark plug.
His mom Donna, his dad Keith, both played college ball, both played in the NCAA tournament. And Justin went there last year with Longwood before transferring to Georgia. Here he is again. Follow no good by Anselin. And the Cats could tie it with a triple. And that's the man to do it, but he gives it up.
Kentucky's got to move. I don't know if Georgia's in man or zone. There you go. Get some movement, survey it, and go to work.
Reeves kept his pivot foot down. That one's off the mark. Thiero gets the fresh 20 for the Cats. Nice shot fake. But he pulled the string, got his own miss, and got fouled for his efforts.
Nice fight by Adu Thiero. I mean, tremendous fight. Drove the ball hard to the elbow, got to the backside, missed the first one. He's a hard charging kid now. Gonna have to get some point guard minutes out of Thiero today, and he's capable of doing it. Love the fight.
Adu Thiero, averaging just 10 minutes a game, has a total of 6 points this season for the Cats, and if he gets more than that today, then that's more than enough. That's gravy for John Calipari.
They've got to get some offense to match Reeves, because Tshiebwe right now has been bottled up in this game. Monster game the last time. Tshiebwe, what, again, 37 and 24, and Georgia's going to make someone else beat them today besides the reigning National Player of the Year.
6 minutes played in his last 6 games. But Adu Thiero is going to get some major burn today with Severe Wheeler and CJ Frederick out. He knocks down both free throws, and it's a 1-point ball game. And there are the mentioned injuries. There's CJ Frederick on the left, Severe Wheeler, the former Bulldog, on the right. Here's Bridges. Oquendo in and out on the three. And look at the fight from the Dogs on the offensive glass. It's going to stay Georgia basketball. Braylon Bridges playing in his 109th game today. You hear that a lot around college basketball.
You do these days, don't you?
Hitting triple digits. Oquendo, nice spin move off the window.
Such a simple, smart out-of-bounds play by Mike White to get an elbow isolation for his best driving guard, Oquendo, with a matchup that he wanted. Talk about a guy that just goes through your chest. Man, that is him.
He likes playing against the Cats. Had 22 against them last year, 17 in that matchup at Rupp Arena 3 weeks ago.
Rich, watch this play I'm talking about. This is a simple pop for Oquendo off the baseline, out of bounds under. Pop and get an elbow isolation. Watch what happens right here. Three, pops, face up, rip, spin, through the chest. Really well done. Simple play, but effective by three in White.
Then in '95, she became the first African-American female head coach at Kentucky and the first one in the SEC, and coached Kentucky women's basketball from '95 to 2003. And there she is on the left, sitting next to the legend himself, Andy Landers, who she played for and coached with here with the Bulldogs. So luminaries aplenty in Stegman Coliseum today to take on the Cats and Dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a beautiful lady and a heck of a basketball coach. And a real trailblazer in so many ways, not only in the women's game, but the men's game as well. Andy Landers was on the radio yesterday. I was listening to him on Sirius XM. He was on his tractor with a bale of hay talking about his donkey. That's the life he has right now. What a drive.
Look at Antonio Reeves leading all scorers now with 13.
He is more than just a three-point shooter as Reeves. He's a pretty good, hard right-handed driver and can finish. And he's all up 6'6", if not more.
Had 11 last time they played the Dogs. He's got 13 already in the first half. Oquendo throws it up and gets fouled. Let's take a look at Antonio Reeves taking it to the cup this time.
Well, you're going to give it up. Bam, just hard backdoor cut. I mean, Jason Holt goes to double team Oscar Tshiebwe. That's going to continue in this game. They're double teaming Oscar, not just on the low block, but pretty much any touch with that 15-foot mark. Look for more of those pass and cut opportunities for Kentucky.
Here's Cario Oquendo at the line. Cans the first of 2 free throws. He has 7, a 73% free throw shooter this season. And Damian Collins checks back in, number 4 in blue, the sophomore out of Atlanta, but it's Atlanta, Texas, yes, where Damian Collins is from.
Collins was the one bright spot, one of them, I would say, against Arkansas. 8 points in 7 minutes, or 7 points in 8 minutes. But he was active. Expect his playing time to increase the rest of this month into March.
A lot of people in Big Blue Nation calling for Collins to get more playing time in favor of Oscar Tshiebwe.
Well, they need to pump the brakes on that a little bit. Yeah. Now, does his minutes need to grow? Damian Collins, yes. But you're still talking about the National Player of the Year. Kentucky can only go so far if Tshiebwe doesn't get his game back. The only way you get your game back, play through your lows right now, like Tshiebwe's trying to do.
Rumors of Oscar's demise have been somewhat greatly exaggerated.
Everyone, Rich, struggles with ball screen defense. Now, Oscar has also struggled this year, but it's not just Oscar. It's the guard that keeps getting clipped. It's the other 3 guys that aren't tagging the roller. It's much more than Oscar Tshiebwe, but that's what he can do better than anyone in the game, man. Just wear you out, and that ball's on the glass.
That is his first offensive rebound today. He had 11 offensive boards in that monster 37-point, 24-rebound performance last time against the Dogs. Tshiebwe at the line. And again, evidenced by Big Blue Nation saying that Oscar Tshiebwe is down and out. Only 11 points a game in his last 6 following that 37-point outburst against the Dogs. He has 5 today.
That ball screen defense is a concern for every coach in the country, not just Kentucky. Talk to anybody in this league, other than Virginia, who is completely sold out on hard hedging, knocking the ball out towards half court and sprinting back. Everyone changes game to game. And look at Kentucky right now. They've made some changes for Oscar in their ball screen defense, and I like it. No longer that drop coverage, isolating him. He's only 6'9". You can throw over the top of him if you're not careful. And Cal has seen enough of it and got Oscar now much more aggressive in that ball screen action.
That's his second, team 6.
And what did Coach Cal tell us a couple hours before tip? He said he wants Oscar to be aggressive. He wants him lifted. He doesn't want him to drop back in the painted area. He wants him to be more aggressive on that defense.
Yeah,
have you seen that so far?
Yes, I have, and we've been talking about it. There's so many ways you can cover that ball screen. You can hard hedge it, you can level it off, you can trap the life out of it, you can drop coverage, you can switch it. Kentucky's been heavy on their drop coverage this year, and I think you're going to see a change going forward starting in this game.
Here's Juice. Off the mark. Offensive rebound by Moncrief. And that's two grown men going after the basketball. And it's going to be possession arrow to the Cats.
Look at Thiero right in the middle of the fight, though. That's a physical kid, Thiero. And Kentucky fans haven't seen a lot of him. You go back to the blue-white game. He had 21 and 12 and 6 assists, and that's the last time that he really got a lot of minutes on the floor in a game-type situation. But this kid's a fighter, and he's had a terrific impact on this game already, and will get extended minutes today because of it.
Cal telling us a lot of players who sit on the bench a lot say, Coach, I want to play, get me in. Well, here's your chance.
Absolutely.
Now what are you going to do with that opportunity?
Yeah. I think the question then is, are we better defensively when I put you in? With Thiero, yes.
Toppin, his first bucket of the afternoon. And Kentucky has its first lead of the day.
Why reach? Why? Just bragged on Thiero as a defender, and then he reaches and fouls a smaller guard 25 feet from the rim, and Cal's saying the same thing. What are you doing?
And that puts Georgia in the bonus, and as you touched on earlier, Jimmy, they are a good free throw shooting team.
They get there 24 times a game in conference play, making 17 or 18. Don't want to bail them out if you're Kentucky. Trust your half-court defense and see if Georgia's got enough offense to pull off an upset.
So Terry Roberts steps to the line looking for his first points of the afternoon, and he's got it. Welcome back, Terry Roberts, after missing the Texas A&M game and the Ole Miss game in concussion protocol. Had his first practice since then just yesterday, but they'd love to get some production out of their top scorer, and he's got his first two today. Well, Kentucky started 1 for 10 from the field, but since then, 6 for 15, a little bit better for the Cats offense.
A little screen, re-screen action between Tshiebwe and Thiero. Oscar comes up and sets the first ball screen, then immediately flips. There's a screen, flip it, let Thiero come off of it. And Roberts fighting over the top. The guy that initiates the contact right there. If you're a Georgia fan, you say Thiero slipped. If you're a Kentucky fan, you say he got pushed.
So Adu Thiero steps to the line, already has 2 free throws. And that one's around and out on the 1-and-1. Georgia still with a 1-point lead and the ball. 5:44 to go in the first half. A Kentucky loss, and Joe Lunardi says they are out of the NCAA tournament. Tough 2 by Juice Holt.
That's what Holt needs to do is a score. He's not a jump shooter. He settled for one a few possessions ago. He's a long, lanky kid from transferred from Bama. Terrific defender and can drive the ball. Stay with who you are.
Oquendo, the step-back triple. Maybe not what Mike White wanted.
And that's the shot John Calipari wants Oquendo to settle for early.
Here's Livingston from the wing. No. Gang rebounding by the Dogs. And now Oquendo in the open floor. Look out. Perry Oquendo will go back to the line.
Yeah, just white jerseys in a complete battle. I mean, that ball's on the glass to the tune of, they're up 20-17 right now in the rebounding area. That's not easy to do against Kentucky. Watch these white jerseys just fly in, man, give their bodies up, fight each other for rebounds. It's a heck of a collision that goes uncalled, but I love the heart and the toughness that Georgia's playing with when that ball's on the glass.
Oquendo 3 for 3 from the line today. He has 9. At 19 in that game against Ole Miss, and leading the Cats right now, or the Dogs I should say, with 9 points, looking for 10 as Juice Holt and Frank Anselem go to the bench for a blow. SEC action continues immediately following our game here on ESPN at 2 Eastern. Number 3 Alabama in enemy territory. They're in the jungle to take on Auburn.
I have not seen a freshman this year that I would take above Brandon Miller in the next NBA draft. He was absolutely outstanding against Florida on Wednesday.
Reeves off the window. It's been a terrific half for Antonio Reeves with a game-high 15.
I think it's important to make sure what we're saying is Kentucky would be out of what's projected right now. They've still got a month to go, but certainly a loss today. You're taking a step back in the wrong direction. Mainly, it's how does it affect Jimmy's jet, which is what we're going to get to in the second half. Are you on the jet? Are you being tossed off the jet? Are you stuck in security? That's the questions that ultimately get answered right now. But man, there's so much ball to be played in this league, like your league, the Big 12. A lot of quad 1 opportunities still left on Kentucky's schedule.
1 month until Selection Sunday. But this would be a bad loss for the Cats. That one's blocked by Oscar. And he's got his hand up. He wants the basketball, but it's taken away. Roberts with the theft.
Rich, the play by Roberts saved a 3, I'm telling you.
Oquendo gets fouled, and Thiero Oquendo will go to the line with 4 minutes to go in the first half.
I talked about Roberts, the best guard that Mike White has on both ends of the floor. This is a wide open 3 waiting to happen. Watch Roberts right here. Got to eat it up, got to eat it up. Bam, get the hand out. Man, save your club of 3 points, because you got a shooter in the corner just waiting to let it go. What a tremendous open floor defensive play by Roberts. Shot is perfect. It's a little bit, sometimes he drops it a little bit, and NBA scouts have asked me, can he get it off in the next level? I say absolutely he can, but Rich, he's a guy that can take over a game at any moment. I think he's growing that direction, but he's a rugged driver now. He gets on the offensive glass. The jungle will be all over that kid. I don't think it will faze Brandon Miller. He's a competitive kid.
He and the Crimson Tide ranked 3rd in the country. Oquendo has been perfect from the line, 6 for 6. And he extends Georgia's lead to 32-25, under 4 minutes to go. Been impressed with the persistence of this Georgia Bulldogs team.
Well, and their persistence to put bodies around Oscar Tshiebwe. So as a result, other guys are going to have cutting opportunities and driving opportunities because they are attached to Oscar Tshiebwe in this game, unlike they were at Rupp.
Yeah, just the 8 points in the paint for Kentucky. Here's Bridges trying to work on Tshiebwe. 10 on the shot clock. Roberts, stop and go, tough 2 off the window.
I love this kid. I love your description of tough 2s. That's who he is. He can make them now. He just got that stuff about him that you recognize in recruiting. You don't have to watch a lot of film on him and say, I want him on my team.
The lead is 7 for the Dogs. Their largest lead this afternoon, 8, as it goes out of bounds.
Rich, here's my point about Oscar Tshiebwe today. Defensively, look at the jerseys surrounding 34 right there at the rim. And no one's going to come off of Tshiebwe to stop the drive. They're going to say, so be it. Let other guys punch it on us, but we're not going to let Tshiebwe get going. On the other end, there's that tough shot ability for a right-handed guy going to his left off balance. High degree of difficulty.
Thiero, bounce pass picked off by Hill. Look out,
bam! Good gosh, can that guy pop at the rim.
Timeout on the floor as Thiero Oquendo has brought Dog Nation to their feet inside Stegman Coliseum. We'll step aside for 30. Come on back.
Tshiebwe is being guarded by 1.5 to 2 defenders the entire time, and Kentucky has to know it. That secondary defender, Justin Hill, just waiting for you to throw a lazy pass. He eats it up, and look at Oquendo, man. His chin is right there at the rim. There's so much pop in this kid. Not only the steal, but the pass was perfect from Justin Hill. And you look up, 9-point game all of a sudden, just like that, triggered by Oquendo and Hill.
Largest lead of the game for the Dogs, and Thiero Oquendo leading the charge. And when he's in the open court and throws it down like that, reminiscent of a former Georgia Bulldog, Anthony Edwards, a little bit.
Oh, that's a good call. Very, very similar size. Edwards may be an inch taller, but had that same
Punch.
Yeah, that same punch. What are you going to do out of a timeout? Pin down, throw it to Oscar. Here comes a double, reverse it one more.
Livingston, top of the key for three.
Yeah, I'll take that as well, too. Livingston shooting a pretty good ball. Could have swung it to Thiero, but good recognition by Tshiebwe. Get it, reverse it, make him pay for the double.
That's the first Kentucky three by someone not named Antonio Reeves. Oquendo, another block by Tshiebwe.
When you get your shot blocked that bad and that easily, that's on you. That's a bad attempt by Oquendo, forcing something that wasn't there.
Under 2 minutes to go. It's been Georgia's ball game for almost the entire first half. They've led by as many as 9. They're up by 6.
Which is Kentucky's defense again. 85 in the country in defensive efficiency is their concern.
Toppin. That's a two-pointer from Jacob Toppin.
Back-to-back possessions by Tshiebwe to get it. The ball doesn't get stuck. Finds the next guy over. Really good handling of the double team. Tshiebwe struggled with it in November, December. Learning now to become a better passer out of it.
And Jimmy, you mentioned that paltry 85th ranking from KenPom in terms of defensive efficiency. That's the lowest it's been in the Calipari era. What do they need to improve upon?
Yeah, lowest as in the worst defensive team that Calipari's had in his era. It's starting with the on-ball defense of staying in front of the ball. And then the rim protection. This is a Kentucky team only averaging 3 blocks per game. Calipari's championship level teams have always averaged 7 or 8 blocks a game. They just don't have that built into them right now.
They find themselves down 4 with 1 minute and 11 seconds to go in the first half on the road in Athens, Georgia. Again, a loss today, and Joe Lunardi says they are out of the tournament right now. 1 minute left. 5 on the clock. Oquendo, deep three, got it!
That is huge for a kid that's shooting 23% in conference play from the three, but you got to take him when the defense shrinks the gaps and gives you a wide open look.
Had 17 against the Cats last time out, 17 in the first half today.
Help him.
Reeves, and it's a Kentucky turnover. That's number 5 for the Cats.
Which that Georgia defense is dialed in. They are hard trapping Oscar Tshiebwe, giving him no way to spin out of it and go towards the rim. Everything's away from the basket, even on the pass. And hard side pressure gets that 5th turnover.
So shot clock and game clock virtually identical. 20 seconds to go in the half. Georgia will take a lead into halftime, just like they did in Lexington 3 weeks ago.
I would trap this if I'm Kentucky. Don't let them just go do what they want to do.
Abdur-Rahim for 3.
It's too easy.
Last shot, too strong. And they love it here. The red and black of the Georgia Bulldogs are at full throat inside Stegman Coliseum. Their Georgia Bulldogs lead the Kentucky Wildcats by 10, 42-32.
Rich, Kentucky sits back and just lets Georgia run their stuff to close out the half. It's going to be a pin down for Rahim. Just a simple pop. A 6'8" shooter can make guarded shots, and a huge one right now as we head to the Plains.
Let's go, Reese.
Reese, take it away, Reese, please.
We are back in Athens, Georgia. You're watching the SEC on ESPN, and it's been almost all Bulldogs in the first half. They lead by 10 over the Kentucky Wildcats, 42-32, and they have been led by Thiero Oquendo, a game-high 17, Jimmy.
Man, Rich, has he been good, just He's such a physical, strong kid. First of all, his size, his SEC football, defensive back stuff. He got a couple of back cuts early, drove the ball hard, then he knocks down some threes. He's a total package, but his 17 points has been huge, coming off of a 19-point game against Ole Miss, so he's seen a good rim right now. I love what Georgia has done in this ball game, though. You can't let Oscar Tshiebwe go off again. There's no way. And now he has kind of filled what it needs to do, because you're without Wheeler and Frederick, so now it's easier to game plan against Oscar Tshiebwe. Put bodies around him, man, not let him be a factor, and that's exactly what Georgia has done defensively in this game.
Oscar hasn't played terribly, but he's just been neutralized, especially when you compare his performance today versus 3 weeks ago against Georgia.
Not to your point, I mean, he was dominated because single coverage in Rupp Arena for 40 minutes. It did not work, obviously, 37-24. So Georgia has made it life difficult on Oscar Tshiebwe. Now, he's handled the double teams well, passing the ball out, keeping it moving. But can Kentucky generate enough offense without Severe Wheeler and C.J. Frederick available, who combine for about 14 points, 6 or 7 assists a game? That's not available today. Reeves has to continue to produce. Tshiebwe's got to somehow get to 15 or 16 points, and other guys have to chip in. Wallace has to come to play this half, and Toppin has to step up as an older guy as well.
Yeah, Toppin with just 4 points. Case and Wallace skunked in the first half. And two things that jumped out at us when we looked at the score sheet at the half: UGA 18-8 in favor of the Dogs in points in the paint, and a perfect 12 for 12 from the free throw line.
Yeah, that free throw line is huge. Again, Georgia, they get 17, 18 points a game from that charity stripe, and they're over halfway there right now.
Aimee Moncrief, air ball on the first shot attempt of the second half, another rebound for Tshiebwe.
So what did Calipari emphasize at the half offensively? We're getting ready to find out on this opening possession. I would move traffic away from Oscar, first of all. Kentucky runs a lot of offense with a crowded court around him. Space that thing out and see if that double team is a little bit late to Oscar Tshiebwe and get him involved.
Toppin hit a couple of those jump shots in the first half. Too strong on his first shot in the second half. Here's Moncrief, 2 feet in the paint. Aimee Moncrief, no, gets his own miss, but he throws it into the hands of the Cats.
Spread that offense out. Georgia's putting bodies on Tshiebwe.
Nice
Make sure
try.
you don't, and that's what I'm talking about. There was 4 guys around that 3-point line. Tshiebwe on the low block, seals his guy off. Now you got some good action if you're Kentucky.
This Livingston with his first bucket of the second half. He has 7, coming off 13 against Arkansas. Justin Hill with his first 2 of the second stanza. He has 8.
And that's just too easy. Case and Wallace just got taken to school on that low block off of a simple isolation drive.
Quick release from Antonio Reeves, and he picks up where he left off. 17 now for Reeves.
It feels like Kentucky has found themselves offensively. Can they get stops, which has been their issue all year long? We talked about where they are in the defensive efficiency, number 85 in the country. Look at Tshiebwe seal his guy off. That's because of that 4-round-1 action. And Reeves, man, he's really cutting well with a purpose in this ball game. Cutting to a long 2 or tough 3s. He's doing it well. Not his look, not his shot.
Yeah, Plendo, I don't know, can you have a heat check coming out of the locker room?
You shouldn't. You should not.
Here's Reeves. 3 points away from his 6th 20th point effort of the season, but he comes up short, and an offensive rebound by Tshiebwe with the foul. Well, Southern Hoops, a history of SEC basketball, will return coming up at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on March 13th. Part 3 looks at 1971 through 1979. So that's going to include Dale Brown's arrival at LSU, Pat Summitt beginning in her career at Tennessee, and of course, Joe B. Hall winning a national championship with the Kentucky Wildcats in 1978. That's coming up on Southern Hoops, a history of SEC basketball.
They've done a phenomenal job on that Southern Hoops history. It's must watch. Even if you're not a huge basketball fan, just the history part of it, and how the game has grown and changed in this league over the years is really fascinating to watch.
Tshiebwe, 6 for 7 from the free throw line this afternoon. It's a 44-38 Georgia lead. Remember, 3 weeks ago, these teams met at Rupp Arena in Lexington, and Georgia led by as many as 11 before Kentucky closed with a 28-14 run to win that game. Terry Roberts, nice spin.
I absolutely love Terry Roberts. I mean, his ability to punch the paint, stop, reverse out of it, and get himself under control with his shoulder squared. Made a tough shot look easy.
Again, first practice yesterday, first game back after missing 2 games in concussion protocol. 10 to shoot for the Cats, who are in danger of falling off the bubble, according to Joe Lunardi. With 1 month to go before Selection Sunday, Tshiebwe with the jump shot.
Now the problem for Kentucky, can they stay in front of the ball defensively? And those Georgia guards continue to get downhill and get a piece of the paint. It'll be a long second half for Big Blue Nation.
Wendo hits the deck, no whistle. Roberts off the window, and Toppin clears for Kentucky. Toppin, nice bounce pass to Tshiebwe. Missed the bunny, and he was challenged and hits the deck.
What happened? Did the ball slip out of his hands? He just threw it at the rim, which kind of what he did against Florida and Colin Castleton when Link got around him. Or the ones you can't miss when you're on the road down 6. Pass is delivered well. He just flat out missed it, almost shot it over the goal.
Airmailed it, then hit the deck, and gets whistled for the foul. So now Jabri Abdur-Rahim checks in for Mike White, and Coach Cal is apoplectic to start this second half.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard game for Cal. He told us in the locker room an hour before it's going to be a hard game for us. And we're down 2 players, 2 guys that are heavy minute guys on the perimeter. Now you got Wallace and Reeves, Thiero, a lot on those guys on the road in SEC play.
Coming off that home loss to Arkansas, now 7-4 in SEC play. 5 on the shot clock. Juice Holt around and out, and the rebound to Livingston.
Good short closeout by Kentucky on a non-shooter Holt.
Tshiebwe challenged, but gets the bucket to go off the glass. A dozen for Oscar.
I like Oscar Tshiebwe getting the ball on the move in this game because it's impossible to double team a post player when he's on the move. Really well done by Kentucky.
Don't look now, but the Cats are within 4.
This is just dribble weave until there'll be a gap opening or a ball screen.
Wendo.
All right, Rich, you can't trap something that's moving. Now watch Oscar Tshiebwe and their conversion offense. He's going to run right down the pipe, fakes the screen and slips out of it. Double team can't get there quick enough. Expect some more of that for Kentucky with 15:33 to go.
Jimmy Dykes, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Jimmy, the moment the country has been waiting for, the unveiling of Jimmy's Jet.
Yeah, well, the new version of Jimmy's Jet. Very important where teams are right now with about 5-6 weeks to go before Selection Sunday. Let's take a look at the National Jet right now, the new version. Coolest thing on the air today. And what we have up there in the 1 seats there, they are Alabama, Purdue, Arizona, and Houston. You're in first class. I think you're going to hang on to those 4 seats. I love where you're at. I love the mascots. In business class, a bunch of teams out of your league, Rich Hollenberg, Baylor, K-State, Iowa State, TCU. They're going to be in that 5 or 6 seed range at the back of the plane right now. New Mexico, North Carolina, and Kentucky, and revelry sitting back there for Texas A&M. I would not store your luggage. Wouldn't it be something for Kentucky and North Carolina to play in the first 4? Right now they're in the back of that jet and probably talking to each other. What are we doing back here? Well, it's better than not being there at all. And now you can play your way up or you can play your way down. But how cool is it that mascots now are getting assigned seats on my jet?
As long as all the first class seats aren't taken up by the mascots. Save one for you, and I'll get in the storage bin above it.
That's where those 1 and 2 seeds will end up sitting when it's all said and done. Still too early, though, to unpack and start ordering drinks and pretzels and all that stuff. Just sit there, keep minding your business. We'll get there in plenty of time.
1 month till Selection Sunday. A loss here today, and Joe Lunardi says the Cats are on the outside looking in.
Strong
Reeves
drive.
No, offensive rebound, and that's what Kentucky and Big Blue Nation are looking for.
And that's the value of getting the ball on the glass if you're Kentucky, because you have the nation's best rebounder there to clean things up. Again, you get the defense rotation. You can't put two bodies on Oscar Tshiebwe.
So a good start to the second half for the Kentucky Wildcats. 5 for 8 from the field, and they've cut this Georgia lead to 3.
And drive the ball. That's where Severe Wheeler could have an impact in this game, but he's not available. So Reeves gets a piece of the paint. And again, you got guys now attracted to the ball. You leave Tshiebwe single coverage in front of the rim. Game over. Advantage Tshiebwe.
You know what I love? So many of Oscar's rebounds come with 2 hands.
All of them. Yeah, absolutely. Something that Calipari demands from the opening practice every year. You're right.
10 on the shot clock.
Kentucky got a quick foul.
Away from the ball.
Their 4th foul. We played 6 minutes in the second half yet.
And Jacob Toppin whistled for his 3rd foul. And again, if you're just tuning in, no Severe Wheeler, no CJ Frederick, and now Jacob Toppin saddled with 3 fouls. He'll stay on the floor for John Calipari. Here's Oquendo. Game high 18 for number 3 in white, but we're going the other way.
Kentucky handling that ball screen about as well as they have all year. Look at Livingston fight over the top, but it's a moving ball screen that gets spread out too wide by Frank Anselm.
That's just the 3rd Georgia turnover this afternoon. Kentucky, almost as good, only 5 turns for them.
Pinned down for Reeves into automatic post up. Reeves can't feed Tshiebwe the ball. He can do that though.
That's a 2-pointer from Antonio Reeves, and he's got 19. Oquendo slices in and draws the foul, and Cario Oquendo is making a living at the free throw line.
And Reeves is really shooting the ball well, isn't he? Now up to 20 points in this game. They need all 20 of them, Kentucky does. Just that dribble handoff action. He's sprinting to the ball with a purpose. He's sprinting with a shot at the back of his mind. This kid is an SEC football body, though, is he not?
No doubt. Think Kirby Smart's watching, taking notes?
He may be.
Oquendo around and out on the first one. Here's tonight's NBA Saturday primetime matchup on ABC and the ESPN app. LeBron James, the newly minted all-time leading scorer in NBA history, leading the Lakers against Klay Thompson and the Warriors at the Chase Center. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And there's a big-time Warriors fan in the house, and his name is Juice Hope.
Yeah, he's a huge fan of Klay Thompson is what he is, Tucson Hope. 1-3-1 by Georgia. Mike White's got 3 or 4 different defenses he goes to throughout the game. Those Kentucky guards, Case and Wallace has to recognize it, get Kentucky organized. It helps Kentucky this half because they're in front of Cal's bench, and he can be the voice of the point guard as well.
So far today, Oscar Tshiebwe, despite the 3 fouls that have put him on the bench, has 14 points and 9 boards. They go for the lob. They come up empty. It's Georgia basketball.
Either Case and Wallace should have shot the ball or swing it one more, because Reeves was tucked away in the far corner, wide open.
6th Kentucky turnover. And we'll see how long Oscar sits on the bench. Georgia in search of a bucket. Almost 5 minutes without one.
Rich, here's what I'm talking about. Case and Wallace can get that ball up top. And those are ones you got to shoot. You're wide open. That defender is backed way off of you. And if Wallace just ball fakes, he brings that shooter off of Reeves as well. And you try to throw a tough lob to Toppin, it doesn't work.
Jason Wallace, a 41% three-point shooter.
Yes.
Coming off back-to-back 20-point efforts.
Yeah, shoot it.
Oh, Well, here's Wallace with the ball, 22 in blue. His team down 2. They could tie it or take a lead with a triple. And that's going to go on Abdur-Rahim.
Toppin draws a lot of fouls, especially when he catches the ball on the move like he did that time. He didn't catch it stationary and then bounce into it. He was moving towards the paint on the move, and he's a very fallible guy when he's like that.
On the move, Jacob Toppin on cue.
Really good job against that 2-3 out of bounds under defense by Georgia to attack that elbow and elevate over the top by Toppin.
Our third tie of the afternoon, 48 apiece. And Georgia can't untie it. Toppin lost the handle, but the foul's going to be on the floor. That's going to go up to Rahim again. Well, everybody's got the postseason on their mind already. The SEC teams will head to Nashville before the NCAA tournament. Give us your state of the union right now.
Well, Alabama's about to run away with this thing. They got a tough one today, and the next week they're at Tennessee. But, man, I think they have separated themselves in terms of how they play and how they look. The Fighting Aggies didn't get anything done in non-conference, but, man, they've been good in conference play. You look down there at Arkansas. Nick Smith, I said for 2 weeks he's going to come back. The freshman for Arkansas is such a highly touted kid. I think he plays today for Eric Musselman, and he could be a difference maker for the Hogs down the stretch. Got to let it fly.
Toppin does, and knocks down the triple. And Kentucky is on top by 3.
No hesitation by Toppin. Not a great three-point shooter. Doesn't take a lot of them, but when he does, it looks good going in. 40% in conference play come into this game.
Abdur-Rahim, tough. Holt got it back for the Dogs. They are thirsty for a bucket.
And this will be Georgia thirsty to get a piece of the paint. They are a downhill at their core driving team. Guard the ball right now on a short clock if you're Kentucky.
4 to shoot. Abdur-Rahim's gonna have to squeeze it off. He didn't see the shot clock running down, and that's a shot clock violation. The Cats have climbed on top by 3, but it's not Oscar Tshiebwe who's doing it. It's Jacob Toppin with a triple. But you know what? He's a great teammate, and Oscar loves what he sees.
The thrill of victory, agony of defeat. Crossover, step back, your ankles is weak.
Well, Jimmy Dykes, I have it on good authority that Groundhog Day was February 2nd, but the Georgia Bulldogs might feel like it's Groundhog Day today, very similar to what happened the last time they played Kentucky.
Yeah, and they're going about it differently because now Tshiebwe is starting to be more of a factor offensively in this half. He dominated Georgia in that first matchup. And you look what's going on today. Antonio Reeves has answered the bell. Kentucky without 2 guards, Severe Wheeler and C.J. Frederick, so someone else has to step up and be a scoring threat along with Oscar Tshiebwe. Losing C.J. Frederick and Severe Wheeler are listed as day-to-day. Frederick out with a rib injury, and Severe Wheeler out with an ankle.
Kentucky is led for only 1 minute and 50 seconds of this game, but they're up 4 now, their largest margin. That one's off the mark. Here comes Georgia.
Offensive.
A late whistle, Tony Green says offensive foul on M.A. Moncrief.
I know Georgia wants to drive that ball hard. That's who they are. They got to reverse that ball and get Kentucky working a little bit, get Kentucky in closeouts. This is just pretty simply on the first side of the floor, and that's an easy call. You lower that shoulder, it'll be an offensive call 9 out of 10 times.
So that's 2 on Moncrief and 5 Georgia fouls.
Rich, Georgia trying to trap the ball right now. It's kind of a condensed 1-3-1. And Wallace can't just take the ball right into the gap. He's got to get that thing moving side to side, get it below the free throw line extended. You play catch up top. It's a turnover waiting to happen.
Wallace almost turned it over. Now Collins. Bodies hit the deck. And it's a jump ball. It'll stay Kentucky basketball.
Kentucky has to get organized against this quarter court trapping defense of Georgia. And no type of rhythm right now in terms of what they want to do. So what do? You bring Tshiebwe back in and say, throw the ball to him. And there's your pressure release.
Oscar Tshiebwe 1 rebound shy of his 15th double-double this season. And now there's blood on the court for the second time this afternoon. So while we wait for play to resume here inside Stegman Coliseum, we'll remind you that coming up on ESPN immediately following us, Jimmy's going to get on his jet, and Brandon Miller and number 3 Alabama are on the plains to take on the Auburn Tigers. Then after that, number 8 Virginia hosts Kyle Filipowski and Duke. And you talked about Brandon Miller before. Kyle Filipowski also on that late season wouldn't watch list. A couple of young players who are terrific.
Tremendous talent is Filipowski from Duke. Auburn is a desperate, desperate team, as if they needed more gas in that rivalry. Be a hard game for Alabama, but I trust Brandon Miller.
Toppin missed. Bridges on the floor, 50-50 ball, and it's going to be Georgia basketball.
It's Georgia basketball. Checking in for the Dogs, Thiero.
And now Thiero Oquendo checks back in. He leads the Dogs in scoring with 19 so far.
Ooh. And Georgia, get that ball side to side a little bit. See if you can get Kentucky in a defensive closeout. Then your drive opportunity increases greatly.
Bridges. Quiet game for him, but he goes right-hand jump hook for the bucket.
Really well done by a kid that's left-handed, right? But he can go either shoulder, really from about 8 feet and down. He's good either way.
They love his offensive motor. That's Braylon Bridges. Just 4 points, though, today. Five to shoot for the Cats. Good hands by Justin Hill, out of bounds. There'll be 3 on the shot clock for Kentucky.
Rich, another crowded offensive possession by Kentucky with Toppin basically playing about 7 feet away from Oscar the entire time, and now you got 3 seconds. A tough angle to get it in.
Tshiebwe's got it. Fires it up. And it's a shot clock violation. Didn't touch the rim. Georgia basketball down by 2.
Oquendo has been the guy for Georgia, tucked away in this far left corner. He's made 1 3, but he has done major damage driving the ball, getting Kentucky in foul trouble. He's been to the free throw line 10 times. Number 3 in white down here below.
There's the left hand that you talked about, Jimmy.
So good, isn't it? I mean, to go either way like that, very impressive and hard to guard.
Now we've got a tie ball game with 9 minutes to go. 52 apiece. Could be Mike White's biggest win in his Georgia coaching career.
Just stand there if you're Damian Collins. You're running floppy action. Just stand there and get set. It's Reeves' job to run off of it. Here's what I'm talking about with Bridges. He went left shoulder, right paw, followed by right shoulder, left paw. Look at Collins step over. There's no reason. There's no reason for Collins to move. You're set in your floppy action. He's out. Toppin back in.
Tied for the 4th time today, and now Justin Hill unties it. And finally something to cheer about in the second half for the Dogs, a 7-0 run. Oscar, 2-hand flush, and he has 16.
And Georgia has kind of gotten a little tardy now on their double team of Oscar Tshiebwe in this second half. They were tremendous in the first half. They better get back after it It puts Tshiebwe in a crowd even before he catches the ball.
Moncrief rolls off, and now Oscar Tshiebwe has his 43rd double-double in a UK uniform.
And the ones you can't miss. I don't know what Wallace was doing, sitting on the high shoulder. Just gave a baseline spin away, but Georgia misses the easy one.
16 and 10 for Tshiebwe. Reeves off the mark. The rebound to Moncrief.
Good look though. Simple floppy action for Reeves.
Here's Hill. Swallowed up by that Kentucky defense. We've got a back and forth battle here in Athens. First up, Justin Hill from beyond the arc. Not a specialty for the Bulldogs, but a big one there to regain the lead. But Oscar is coming alive in the second half. Another double-double for 34 in blue.
Rich in the second half, Oscar Tshiebwe been hard to deal with. Cal's done a good job of moving him around, got him the ball on the move a couple of times. Georgia has been attracted to the ball, and they've forgotten about how good Oscar Tshiebwe is. And Oscar continues to fight up to another double-double, 16 and 10, made a jump shot. And Kentucky's got to make sure that Tshiebwe stays involved with 7:22 to go. Don't just lock him into the low block, though. Get him on the move, let him set some ball screens, dive out of it, find him in transition some. Because if he just sets on that block, that Georgia double team is going to be hot and heavy and force him to pass the ball. Does he have enough help right now between he and Reeves? Who else can help Kentucky down the stretch offensively? Jacob Toppin, I guess your eyes go to him because Wallace, nothing today on the offensive end.
Yeah. And obviously the points and rebounds always are the headline grabbers for Oscar, but he has 4 dimes and 4 blocks this afternoon as well. 7:22 to go. We have another timeout on the floor. 1-point ball game from Athens, Georgia. Cats and Dogs. Rich Hollenberg, Jimmy Dykes on hand inside Stegman Coliseum. And say what you want about this Georgia basketball program. They are immediately on the rise since Mike White has taken over. They've already more than doubled their win total from last year, and they've been really good in this building, Jimmy.
Yeah, no doubt. And Mike White, they come in today, they've lost 6 out of 7, but he has not lost his team at all. And they are dialed in, they fight. The last 2 games without their leading scorer, Terry Roberts. And maybe their record looks a little bit different, but they're right in a fist fight right now with Kentucky.
Quendo with 5 on the shot clock. Offensive rebound. The putback won't go from Holt. And another rebound for Tshiebwe.
Man, it feels like Georgia's missed 2 or 3 in this half. Layup attempts right at the rim.
Oscar mid-post. Now Wallace. 0 for 3 from the field. Now 0 for 4 today. Dogs love to go downhill. Let's see if they do it here. And they get a foul, and we'll go back to the free throw line.
Rich, I say it all the time. Go back and watch a game film. Make your free throws and make your layups. And this is, I believe, the 3rd one in this half that Georgia has missed wide open right around the rim. And man, those will come back to bite you in the backside if you're not careful.
Make your free throws, make your layups. You met my son Brian, 8th grader.
Tell him the
That's
same
what
thing.
I tell the teams.
Just
sometimes basketball could be easier than most people think.
Yeah, the game's not that hard.
Bridges with 7. And now Thiero checks in. Coach Cal keeping his team connected. Down 2 though, following that Arkansas loss at home. Joe Lunardi says if they lose today, they are off the bubble and out of the tournament with 1 month to go. Still a lot of basketball left for the Cats to improve their standings. Deep 3, Reeves in and out. Oscar another rebound. Can't get the putback. Juice. Again. comes up short. And the foul's going to be on Terry Roberts. We're going the other way.
Hassan Holt, in conference play before this game began, is shooting 19%. 19% from the floor. He has taken some tough shots. This is not an easy shot. That ball is driven off the first side of the floor. He's going away from the basket, shooting it back. And if you're a 19% shooter, take good shots, not hard shots. Love his fight, love his motor, love his defense, but offensively, he's got to get with a little bit more higher IQ than that.
A three gives him the lead, but Reeves can't can it. 6 for 14 from beyond the arc today for the Cats.
If you're Georgia, keep testing Kentucky's ability to stay in front of the ball.
Inside, Bridges working on Tshiebwe. Tshiebwe with 3 fouls.
Huge.
And now 4 with the bump and the bucket.
That is huge, Rich. I mean, Bridges wanted it and more, as he clears out traffic and says, let me go right at the National Player of the Year. And just the pure strength and force that Bridges gets through here. Clear out, let me go to work. That is the right call. Oscar grabbing, holding, doing everything he can just to keep the ball from getting up on the rim. A huge basket by Bridges.
Braylon Bridges, 9 points, 4 for 5 from the field. He's now in double digits.
Really good fight back by Georgia because they were down. And Kentucky had a lot of good things working. Mike White continues to change up his defensive looks. Now it's an extended 1-3-1. He may or may not trap out of it. If you're Kentucky, you got to stay organized. Screen the top of it, get downhill, make a play. I like that. Yes, sir.
Livingston, my goodness!
I like that, screening that 1-3-1 up top with some smack action. Now you got the numbers. Really well done by Case and Wallace and John Calipari with a play call.
1 possession ball game, 5 minutes to go. Stegman Coliseum. And Roberts threw it right to the official, and Georgia got it back.
When the official's on the floor, he's just part of the game.
Everyone kind of paused for a moment. That one short. Offensive rebound, Livingston. Fresh 20 for the Cats. Oscar missed the dunk, but got fouled.
Well, it all started with the last play call by Calipari on the fly. Georgia had a 1-3-1. And they come up and set a high ball screen. They call it smack, Kentucky does. Here's the smack action that Wallace works off downhill. And Livingston's the guy that finishes it. If you're Kentucky right now, you've got to stay aggressive with your conversion from defense to offense. Try to get Tshiebwe early touches off the move. And if you're Georgia, nothing changes. Make some passes, test Kentucky defensively, and see if they can stay in front of the ball with 4:34 to go.
Oscar at the line, been reliable today. 6 for 7 from the free throw line, normally a 69% free throw shooter.
Tshiebwe to the line, 2 shots.
Sitting on 16 points. Now 17 for the reigning National Player of the Year. Now Oquendo and Anselm out for Mike White and Georgia. Braylon Bridges checks back in. How does Kentucky's defense change with Oscar Tshiebwe saddled with 4 fouls, Jimmy?
Well, you can't change it now, Rich, with 4:34 to go. You are who you are. And Tshiebwe's got to play smart and stay aggressive. If you're Georgia, can you drag Tshiebwe into some ball screens right now? I mean, Tshiebwe's been good today because Cal has changed up his coverage. But if you're Oscar Tshiebwe, you got to play right now. You can't hold anything back. You got Collins sitting over there. You can go small if you had to. Bottom line, if you're wearing a blue uniform right now, guard the dadgum ball. The team in white wants to get downhill.
Georgia with a 1-point lead. Bridges, left hand, good.
That's your answer if you're Georgia, going right to the front of the rim with Bridges, a guy that can spin either shoulder. And all Tshiebwe could do is just kind of throw up a blue wall. Tshiebwe is not a shot blocker. He's maybe 6'8.5" at most. And Bridges just elevates over the top.
Now 4 minutes left. Georgia led by as many as 10. They're up 3 now. Cason Wallace gets it back. Now Toppin, mid-range. Too strong. Ball goes out of bounds. It's going to be Kentucky basketball. Timeout on the floor.
As I'm talking about with Bridges, Rich, he pivots away from Tshiebwe, get that thing to drop. Man, what a pressure release right now Mike White has with 23 in white.
We'll start immediately following our game right here on ESPN, but we have a long 3 minutes and 36 seconds to go inside Stegeman Coliseum. Alongside Jimmy Dykes, I'm Rich Hollenberg. The homestanding Bulldogs hanging on to a 3-point lead over the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, he sold out Stegeman Coliseum, and what's at stake in this ball game? More so for Kentucky. Coming into today, the projection is one of the last teams in the NCAA tournament. With a loss today, they would fall outside of that. Still with a month to go, but certainly when you're on February the 11th, you don't want to be going backwards. You want to be moving forwards. And Kentucky's got their work cut out for them. No Severe Wheeler, no C.J. Frederick today. They have found enough offense between Reeves and Tshiebwe. Can they get enough stops right now against a hard downhill driving team in Georgia?
3 to shoot. Livingston's going to have to squeeze it off.
Short.
And out of the timeout, Kentucky comes up empty.
The ball never got to the paint. And it has to get to the paint when you're on the road and you're in the bonus like Kentucky is. The next foul for Georgia, they get to 8. Kentucky's a couple away from having 2 every time. But man, it's a free throw shooting game right now with both teams in the bonus. Drive it.
Here's Moncrief. Bridges had a good second half. Working on Tshiebwe with 4 fouls. Here's Abdur-Rahim from the corner.
Really a big shot by Abdur-Rahim to tuck away on that far side. He's their 3-point shooter. Coming in this ball game today, Rich, 38%, almost 39% from 3 in conference play. Really good job and a huge backside bomb by Georgia. Bridges in traffic, knows exactly where he wants to go with the ball. The release is good, the rotation is good, the result is good. And Georgia up 6 now with just under 3 to go.
All 9 of Jabri Abdur-Rahim's points have come from beyond the arc, none bigger than that one. Came into this game just 7 for his last 23 from 3 over the course of their last 5 games. And that was part of the reason why Georgia's really struggled. Lost 6 of their last 7 games, but you wouldn't know that from their effort this afternoon.
No, not at all. I love the togetherness and the belief that Mike White still has in his guys. You look up, they're 4-7 in his first year, but he's still laying the bricks of foundation. And he said he still loves how his guys have a great locker room right now. They're dialed in. They were this morning at 8 o'clock in the walkthrough. Anytime Kentucky comes to town, it doesn't matter if Kentucky's fighting to be a 1 seed or fighting to just be in the NCAA tournament. It's a big, big deal. And Stegeman Coliseum is feeling it right now with under 3 to go.
As the kids say, Jimmy Dykes, this place is lit.
It is.
64-58. Georgia with the lead, Kentucky with the ball.
Spain action, going to back screen Tshiebwe and pop a shooter.
Toppin lost the handle. Here's Moncrief in the open court. Gives it up to Roberts with the left hand.
How good is that kid? How good is he around the rim with either hand? Full speed, average speed. Such a hard, tough shot maker.
Patience and poise from 0 and white, Terry Roberts. Wallace. just not looking for a shot today. Reeves is, he comes up short. 7-0, Bulldogs run. Under 2 minutes to go. A foundation-building win for Mike White in Athens.
You gotta get after that ball, Cal. Good job of trapping the pressure. You can't just sit back right now.
10 to shoot. Dogs content to take the air out of the basketball a bit. And that's an offensive foul on Moncrief. That's his fourth.
Rich, what a play by Toppin to keep the hope alive for the Wildcats. Just individual isolation on an island. And there's that rip by Georgia. Turnovers by Kentucky have been a problem in this game, but what a finish by a small guard. Just has a knack of knowing how to score in traffic. Huge trip right now in this ball game.
That attempt by Wallace off the mark. Offensive rebound, Oscar. Tshiebwe with the left hand. Big bucket for big Oscar Tshiebwe. He's got 20 and a timeout on the floor.
Oscar Tshiebwe turns it into a math equation when the ball's in the air. He tries to find the 75% spot is how he explains it to me. And 75% of the time, that deep corner three is going to come off exactly where Tshiebwe was to keep Kentucky in this game. If they don't come up with this rebound, this game's over. And Tshiebwe gets to that backside 75% spot. And then the patience and the aggressiveness all in the same sentence to cut this thing back to a two-possession game. Watch, he's on an island. You got to make a play right now if you're Toppin. So well done by Jacob Toppin. Man, tough to make that stop individually, and he did.
So Oscar Tshiebwe looking like the Oscar Tshiebwe we're used to seeing. 20 points, 14 boards, and no one knows that better than that man in red in the middle of the Georgia huddle, because not only did Oscar go for 37 and 24 the last time these teams met this year, last year in Mike White's final year at Gainesville with the Florida Gators, Oscar had a game where he went for 27 and 11 and 27 and 19. So you add those 3 games together, and the last 3 Oscar Tshiebwe games against a Mike White coach team, he's averaged 30 points and 19 boards.
Yep. And Mike wasn't going to have any part of it today, though. I mean, you can live with 20 and 14, but you can't live with 30 and 19. And his ability, Mike's ability to put Tshiebwe in a lot of traffic today might be just enough difference for Georgia to have the win. Ooh.
There's Justin Hill. Georgia handles the pressure. Good hands by Tshiebwe, knocking it out of bounds. And it'll be Kentucky basketball under 2 minutes to go. They'll go to the scorer's table.
I'm not sure where Justin Hill was going, and I know that Justin Hill's not sure where he was either. And you got the lead, and it didn't hit his body. Did it come off of his hand?
Yeah.
He and Tshiebwe's hand were on the ball at the same time, but Justin Hill, I mean, where are you going right now? Everything's in your favor. I think it's going to get reversed. I think it's off Oscar's hand. Do you see it differently?
No, it was close, but with the size of Oscar's paw, as you like to say,
you're right.
I think the benefit of the doubt goes to the Bulldogs.
Because the ball's coming this direction towards Oscar, hits his hand, and it does not hit Justin Hill. He does a good job of getting his body out of the way. I like this look right here. Yeah, that's off of Oscar Tshiebwe. I'm not a big fan of replay reviews at all. I wish we completely eliminate him from the game, but in this scenario, you're going to get the play right. It goes from Hill's hand to Tshiebwe's hand. It's going to stay Georgia's ball.
A reminder, those of you tuning in for Alabama-Auburn, that game is starting on ESPN News. It'll switch over to ESPN immediately following the conclusion of this game. Georgia leads it by 6. 1:12 to go. Both teams in the bonus. And we're going to take one more look. It looks like, as Jimmy said, it looks like it was off Oscar Tshiebwe's hand.
Yeah, that's the right call. And Hill got bailed out because he was an out-of-control guard with under 1:30 to go. Had no plan. Hope is not a plan. And very fortunate that he gets bailed out. And now Georgia with the ball and 23 on the shot clock.
So Georgia's going to inbound under their own basket. Juice Holt helping out the managers.
Man, for Kentucky, fight hard.
Georgia home bench.
Rich, right now, fight hard, man. Body on body, fight hard. Get yourself a turnover off this out of bounds under.
And they get it into Hill, and immediately the foul's going to be on Antonio Reeves. Free throws on every subsequent foul for the final minute, 10 seconds in this one.
In the rotation, including
Alabama and Auburn underway from the jungle on the campus of Auburn University. That's on ESPN News, and we'll switch over to ESPN once this game is over as Justin Hill cans the first of 2 free throws. Georgia led by as many as 10. Kentucky stormed back to, albeit quickly, regain the lead, but now the Cats are down 8 on the road with 1:10 to go.
You just have to go fast right now if you're Kentucky. I mean, Georgia, you know they don't want to foul. Drive that thing, spread it out. If the defense converges, let one fly.
Kentucky 6 for 16 from beyond the arc today.
A good recovery by Roberts off that screen, rescreen action.
Wallace has not been his afternoon. Under 1 minute to go.
The defense by Terry Roberts was special because Kentucky ran a good play for Reeves. They ran him off of a screen and ran right back to a jump shot, and Terry Roberts would have no part of it. For as good as he is offensively, watch him defensively zero in White. And he covers up late, but the 4 or 5 seconds before that is when he took away that clean look by Reeves. Georgia defensively has been really good in this game, really good.
And Georgia from the free throw line today as a team, 18 for 21. Now 19 for 22, and a 14-point effort from Justin Hill as Cason Wallace, who had back-to-back 20-point efforts in the last 2 games for the Cats, skunked this afternoon by the Dogs D. An easy 2 by Wallace, his first 2 of the game. And now Kentucky calls the timeout.
Rich, it's all you can do. All you can do is drive the ball, hammer it home, call a timeout, try to extend the length of the game if you're Calipari. Hope you can get your defense set right now with a full court press, come up with a turnover without having a foul. And that's why these games take sometimes a long time to close out, because you're just fighting, not letting go of the rope. And Georgia now, they still have some work to do. I know you're up 8 with 52.8 to go, but you can't turn it over. You got to be strong with the ball. Expect the contact to come. You got to make free throws. Crazier things have happened. I've seen leads before. I've seen a 9-point lead under 1 minute to go just this year in a college game that went to overtime. So things feel good right now and stagnant for the Bulldogs, but they've got to keep working. And look at Kentucky with a loss today. They're probably going to be projected as one of the first 4 teams out. And that schedule at Mississippi State is no joke defensively. Tennessee at Florida in a rematch where Colin Castleton almost single-handedly beat Kentucky. And in Auburn, that's the SEC, very similar to the Big 12, the league that you're in most of the time. Just there are no gimmies.
Yeah. Kentucky will continue a 2-game road trip in Stark Vegas. Then you know the Vols are going to have revenge on their mind when they face Kentucky a second time this season. That was the biggest win of the year for the Cats in Knoxville, but right now 52.8 to go, and an undermanned Kentucky team finds themselves down 8.
Yeah, absolutely. No one's feeling sorry for Kentucky. No one felt bad for Georgia when Terry Roberts was out the last 2 games. It's just part of the year. But certainly no Frederick and no Wheeler today. Combined for 14 points and 6 assists didn't help.
And they foul Oquendo immediately. That's Antonio Reeves, his second. There's Wheeler on the right in the sweats, and C.J. Frederick next to him to his right.
And look at those free throw numbers for Georgia today. That's just typical of what they do.
Right.
They come in attempting, Georgia does, 24 per game in conference play. They're going to hit that number right now with this next attempt. And those 17, 18 points they typically get today are going to escalate to above 20.
And speaking of 20, that's Cario Oquendo's 20th point of the afternoon.
And Georgia,
a couple off his season high.
21, make it 22 out of 25 from the free throw line today for Georgia. Really well done.
This is a team that's right around top 30 in the nation in free throws. Well, it's 3-ball time. Jacob Toppin gets that. Exactly what Kentucky needed, but they need a little bit more. And an immediate foul will send Georgia back to the free throw line.
And that's all we're going to see with 45.8 to go. Forcing Georgia to make free throws. Kentucky's going to come down and take their first just good look they can squeeze off. I like Toppin shooting threes right now. He's shooting a really good percentage. Doesn't take a lot of them. That could change going forward.
2 this afternoon, but just 9 all season for Jacob Toppin as Juice Holt knocks down the free throw. When you go to a Georgia practice, every few minutes there's a running free throw competition, and as a team they have to make 80% of their free throws or else they're running sprints. It pays off in moments like this.
You get what you demand as a coach. Mike White building this thing on defense and a hard driving team that can score. That clock stopped. 1-3-1 at spread, just get a reversal, you get a good three.
Here's Toppin again.
Nope.
Off the mark. Georgia controls, Roberts with the ball, and he'll go to the free throw line. And now they're starting to feel it inside Stegman Coliseum. They won last year in this building against the Wildcats. The last time Georgia beat Kentucky in back-to-back home games, you got to go all the way back to 89-90. So we're talking a generational type moment here for Georgia basketball fans.
Man, if you're a Georgia fan, it was pleasing to your eyes to see this kid back on the floor. I know he has 8 points a day, but man, he has made some huge baskets for Mike White. But you go back and watch this film, defensively, he has probably taken away 8-10 points by himself. Just how hard he has fought to be in the right position, not be screened, be there on the catch, chase guys off the three.
Wallace needs to shoot it, and he didn't. Time is of the essence for Kentucky. The follow and the foul. Probably the last thing you wanted to do if you're Georgia.
Good job by Wallace to get involved though in the fight. I know the game is all but over, but Wallace comes running in and takes a hit, gets it up. Just keeps a little bit of hope alive for Kentucky. Crazy things would have to happen, but got to make this one, get your press set, try to get a steal. If not, foul's going to come hard and force Georgia to keep making free throws. It is what it is.
And Wallace completes the three-point play. 75-68, Georgia with the ball and the lead, 21.9 to go. Kentucky looking to foul right away. Precious seconds ticking off the clock. Hill throws it to nobody, but it's tracked down by Terry Roberts, and that'll do it. The Kentucky Wildcats are on red alert for the bubble. Georgia wins it 75-68. Jimmy Dykes, thank you, my friend. It was a real treat.
Absolutely.
For everybody here at ESPN, including Jimmy Dykes, I'm Rich Hollenberg. The Bulldogs pull off the upset on their home floor. Now we send it to Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, and Holly Rowe. They're on the plains. Up next, Alabama and Auburn. So long from Athens.